Oh, perfect. All right. Okay, you know what? I think we'll probably just get started here. I'm going to invite everyone up who wants to come up. GM. Perfect. Okay. All right, 3 minutes after noon. So let's say we just get started. Oops, just dropped something on my desk. Bear with me. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, or morning, or evening, or wherever you are. Welcome to the Helium Community Call for January 29th. It's nice to see everybody. I am your moderator, Keenan. Today we have a note taker waveform, if you just want to confirm that for me. Thank you, waveform. Perfect. Appreciate it. All right, so just a quick pre-flight checklist here is this meeting is recorded. It will be posted in the Foundation channel after the call is completed, so you can always, if you miss something, you can always go back and listen to it later on. It will also be posted on YouTube as well. And if you have any other items, questions, anything like that, pop them in the chat, in the event voice stage chat. We'll have people monitoring for questions in there. And yeah, if you think we have waveform in there monitoring for questions. All right, so first things first, I know I sound like a broken record. I say this every community call, but I just want to give everyone a Discord safety reminder. Please, 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 any DMs or messages that you get from quote unquote Helium support are scammers. Do not respond to any DMs, especially someone DMing you first, reaching out for assistance. If you're asking a question in our Discord, what typically happens is you'll ask a question and then you'll have a slew of people who are named either a moderator name, slightly changed, it's hard to notice, or Helium support, something along those lines, and they'll say, hey, I'm here to assist you with your concern. Here's a website to go to, punch in your secret, your phrase, your seed phrase, and we'll get your hotspot fixed or your wallet fixed, something along those lines. Please, please, please do not do that. Your seed phrase is to remain completely private. We will never ask you for it. We won't ask you to punch it in on any websites. If you have any questions, please ask them in public, and we will respond to you in public. If there is something that needs to be sensitive info, that needs to be a private message, we will talk about that in public first to confirm it's the real person. Okay, so now that we got that over with, moving on. We're going to start with an engineering update. So I think we've got Noah for that. Noah, if you want to take it away on an engineering update.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you great.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean the biggest thing is happy return to HNT Day for those who celebrate. Yeah, in process of deploying all that stuff right now. So today's epic is going to be the first epic that your hotspots, your mapping rewards, all of that stuff comes in HNT. So bunch of stuff happening. There's new app releases rolling out. So, however you earn your rewards, as long as you update your apps, you'll just be able to claim your rewards in HNT. We're deploying a bunch of changes to the smart contract as we speak. For more details, read HIP 138 and HIP 141. But the short of it is the HNT that used to be going to the treasuries is now going directly to your hotspots. HST is completely shut off now. So that's an extra 30% or so of rewards going to hotspot owners, and a bunch of other good stuff around governance and utility scores. So that's what's going out, for this month mostly. For next month, right now we're working on some automation things. I'd like to at least start the process of auditing next month the ability to set your hotspots and your staking rewards up on a basically like a regular interval claiming. So you can say, I want to, have them automatically claimed once a month or, once a day if you really want to go that far. But basically just allow you to put down some SOL to pay for those transaction fees and then have it automatically happen so you don't have to keep going and clicking things in the app, which will be really, really nice for people who have a ton of hotspots.
So just to clarify there, the app release is coming out today. Is that correct?
Yeah. There should be app releases for Helium Mobile, for the Builder app, and for the Wallet app. Helium Mobile, that app might lag a little bit because it's been in review with Apple inexplicably for 5 days. So, pending Apple actually getting their shit together, we'll have it.
Got it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add about any additional HIP implementation, anything like that, before we move on? Or are we covered?
I think we're pretty much. Oh, is Abai not up here? No, maybe
Don't
he's
see
not. I
him.
was gonna say, he would know anything else that we want to cover, but no. A lot of the other stuff is sort of behind the scenes, working on making our indexing more reliable, which is necessary for governance. A lot of work still continuing on decentralizing all of the like IoT, OUI, DevAdder stuff. That ended up touching a lot more code than we thought it would. So
Fair enough. It's just a tiny little update. I mean, come on.
yeah, truly, that's what I thought. I like wrote the contracts for it originally, and like the contracts are pretty simple, but the amount of stuff it touches is wild.
I do see Abai is up here, though I don't think he has anything to add. That's correct.
Nothing to add. You guys got it.
Beauty. All right. Well, thank you very much, Noah. Appreciate that update. We will move ahead then to events. British guy, give us a quick update on events.
We're back in. Excellent. So yeah, it's been great. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, so trying to plan out the 2025 events, which is looking good. So in February, we've got a couple of events coming up. February the 7th is Apex in Mexico. I don't know if some of you are Mexico-based. If you are, going on by, that should be out on the socials, where Sam Lewis, our head of Capitals program, will be joining a panel and doing a quick lightning talk on all things helium based in Mexico. We'll also be doing a workshop with Pepe and Longfire on the ground there, titled Be Your Own Telco. And they're going to be doing a hands-on workshop, how to optimize the deployments, how to set up and antennas and install. So that should be pretty exciting and pretty interesting to see. After that, also, we're going off to Consensus Hong Kong, February 18th to 20th. Frank will be joining a panel on the 20th at 2 p.m. if you're Hong Kong based. That's going to be moderated by Bullish Capital, and the title of that is Deep in Revolution: Connecting the Physical and the Digital World. And so hopefully going forward for 2025, hopefully can get this up on the website so everyone can see this for across the year. That's hopefully coming down the pipeline soon. And of course, if you're at any events or want to chat about events, always reach out, hello@helium.com. Come and see what we're up to. And that's our quick updates for February.
Perfect. Thank you. So just the links to those events are actually in the meeting agenda. I don't believe I posted that in the chat, so I'll just go ahead and do that. And,
I'll do it.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. And beat me to it. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So if you want more information on those events, British Guy just posted them in the chat. So feel free to take a look at those. Thank you, British Guy. I appreciate it. Okay. Next up, we have a discussion about Helium Plus. And I believe Italian dude, you're going to take that one.
Thank you, Keenan. So, yeah, I believe we wanted to spend like few minutes about what it was launched yesterday to give a little more context about what we're doing today, what we're about to do very soon. So the product platform name is called Helium Plus, and the idea is, we've been talking about this technical term as brownfield, which is the idea of leveraging existing Wi-Fi deployments and to bring them on board into the Helium network. So we internally decided to productize this. We gave it a name. It's called Helium Plus. And the focus of that page that was released yesterday on the helium.com website is to address primarily two market segments. The first segment is venue owners. So owners of shopping malls or coffee shop owners, like people that have access to venues when there is a lot of footfall traffic, which makes it, as we know, a perfect location for carrier offload as a whole. And the second one is managed service provider. What managed service provider are companies, again, probably some of you are familiar with that, but those are companies that do manage networks for those venues. So and it's actually very common in the US that if you have, let's say, a small coffee shop chain, or even if you're a single coffee shop owner, you actually don't manage your own network. You have someone, a managed service provider, that actually does that for you. So Helium Plus creates a value added proposition for that segment because, of course, of the additional revenue opportunity for managed service provider to add that as a value add to their offering, and for owners to improve their coverage in their venues. So phase one is what went out yesterday. It's pure an inbound lead gen tool, which means that people that are interested, they're already doing it. They can fill out the form, and then we at Nova, our BD team, will take the lead on qualifying the site, and then go from there into the activation first of Helium Mobile offload, depending on of course, if the hardware is compatible. There is all sorts of qualification that need to happen once you enter the funnel. But the first step is Helium Mobile offload, and then eventually carrier offload with the MNOs and MVNOs. This is what we call phase one. The phase two, which is what we're already working on, and again, for the ones that they are active in the mobile working group, you already know this. The team is working on a self-serve tool to allow anybody with a compatible hardware to get the certificates, to create a data-only hotspot and link that to the certificate that runs on the pass point, on the compatible access point, effectively do Helium Mobile offload in a complete self-serve way. This is what the next phase will look like. So in this way, we avoid, of course, to do the white glove approach of taking those inbounds. That will still take that if needed for big venues. But in general, the idea is to enable everybody to just go through the guide and get their data-only hotspot created for Helium Mobile offload. When it comes to carriers instead, the qualification will still need to happen to our team at the moment, and we'll see what's in the future for that process. So yeah, so pretty excited about that. If you know of anybody that can be a good target for this, please send them over on the webpage and get in contact with us. Our team will guide you through the process. I think we don't need to say more than what has been said. I think that's the key to the growth. By the way, I've heard online on Twitter someone asking about, are the hotspots not needed anymore? I don't think that's true. This is because hotspots are still needed in certain locations, and depending on the situations, there might be hotspots. There might be Wi-Fi access points that are not compatible with what we're doing with this technological pass point. There might be situations in which actually you don't have the ability to modify, maybe because your service provider, you're getting your Wi-Fi from your own cable fiber operator. So there are many cases in which that Helium Plus model wouldn't work. And from that cases, of course, the Helium Mobile hotspots are the way to go. So this is not intended to be like a replacement of the hotspots. It's more a complement to foster the growth of the network. So I see a question in the chat: will serve be available worldwide? Yes, I mean, there is no way for us in that sense to prevent that from happening once you configure. The truth is also that the usage right now, it's only happening in the US and in Mexico soon. So while it might be available worldwide, the usage side of things, meaning the offload, will only end up in the US. Now, if you're saying that there is some Helium mobile subs that is, is traveling international, and would you be able to offload? Likely yes, but I think that's a very small use case. But it's a good remark. Thank you for bringing that up, Siegfried.
Awesome. Thank you, Mario. Appreciate it. I did put a link to the Helium Plus site in the chat. So it's helium.com/plus. Feel free to read up more on it there. All right. I don't believe I see any more questions regarding the Plus. Okay.
All right.
Anything else to add there, Mario?
No, all good. There is a question around what is the plan to monitor and curb paid data offload gaming and brownfield conversion. We do have a plan internally. There is. I don't know if it's a good idea to share the plans necessarily in the open, but there is definitely. I don't think it's so much of a vector in that sense, because there is going to be. So long the subscription are actually valid, then the gaming is actually curbed, kind of self-curbed in that way. But anyway, we don't need to go any longer. It's a long call. There's a lot of things to cover, but I'm sure that we'll talk more in the whole working group when appropriate.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to new HIPs and updates. First up, we have Mobile HIP 142, add Inversion Capital as an international service provider to the Helium mobile network. And to talk on that, oh, he looks like he's gone. We had Santiago. See if I can get you back up here. All right, there you are. See if we can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. So yeah, take it away. HIP 142.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to present it. We spent some time with the working group a few weeks ago, and yeah, really, this might be an opportunity, just a very high level, spend a minute on what we're trying to accomplish for folks that are not as familiar, and also just entertain any questions from the community. But a little bit of context. So obviously very inspired by what Helium has been able to accomplish in the US. We plan to roll out deployment in international markets where we think it's also attractive to do a similar playbook as in the US. We are actively looking at one large asset in Mexico, really taking what has already been the pilot that's been working there and extending that. And so, yeah, the impetus for the HIP is obviously to have Inversion, which is a new project that I'm undertaking. I've been in crypto since 2012, was a Parify early investor in DeFi, and been investing a lot in deep in projects. And I think from my standpoint, first as an investor, now as a builder, is I don't think that there is a better product that crypto offers to really go mainstream. And the combination of deep in with stablecoins is probably the best way to onboard users into the space and really retain them. Not just speculative use cases. And so really that's the main mission of Inversion, is to accelerate adoption of services like Helium. And we think that is a really powerful combination. And so we're actively looking at a number of assets. One of them is in Mexico. We've looked at other markets. So the first proposal, of course, is to be a service provider, and you really work hand in hand with Nova and the Helium community. I've had a number of calls with folks in the community and the team, and would really love the support of the community here to pave the way to really accelerate the deployment of Helium in other markets. So I'll pause there if there's any questions, and otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, just taking a look in the chat there as well. I did post a link to the HIP 142 channel, so if you have any questions after this call as well, you can feel free to ask in there. Just pausing for a second here to see if there's any questions that pop up. Anything that needs to be moving too quickly here. Anything that needs to be solved before 142 can go to a vote. And then Waveform is also tagging me in. deep in with stablecoins. I thought this is deep in with HNT, which is not a stablecoin.
Yeah, that clarification. Obviously, it would be Helium, driving the adoption of Helium. But of course, you upsell that user. In some markets, the ARPU is quite low by offering them, really a gateway into crypto. So it's just not just Helium, but also another set of products like stablecoins. Like the best comparison comp here is Nubank. Nubank started in Brazil as a fintech, then launched its own MVNO, and now is offering their own users access to USDC. And so that playbook, I think, is going to be more and more common. Really, the blurring lines between mobile fintech and really offering and a slew of services to the user. And so I just don't think there's a better platform business than a mobile carrier, particularly an MVNO, and using Helium on the infra really structurally lowers the cost for the business in a very meaningful way, and then allows you to really grow sustainably, acquire customers, and offer those same customers access to, DeFi and other products that, particularly in Latin America and these markets, like remittances are a big, that flow of capital. A lot of people don't have access to money market accounts, checking accounts, and so it starts with a killer product like Helium, like mobile, and then you can activate them in other ways into the crypto economy. That was my point.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Also, I'm not seeing any more questions really related just yet. So if you want to move on to mobile PR 1153, it's called Update Helium's data pricing structure to support multi-geography expansion.
Yeah. So this was initially one single proposal, and we've broken it down into two because I think it's important if there's other folks that want to do deployment. Just thinking about as we go international, really deploy Helium in other markets. We've looked at a number of markets, and the pricing is a little bit all over the place. The data is really hard to come by. But we've managed to get a hold of some data. In Mexico is very different than Brazil, Switzerland, the UK, Australia, Southeast Asia. Like the pricing on the wholesale side is very different by each across markets. And I think it just makes sense to really inspired by the pricing in the US to take a similar discount to the prevailing wholesale price. Of course, there's going to be a lot of nuance here. And I think this is where working with Nova and the community to just say, hey, listen, this is the weighted average wholesale price across a number of vendors. And then just, taking a discount to that to really support and incentivize the deployment in these markets. There's been some questions of the community of like, hey, well, how low is that? At what point does it, get too low? And I think naturally, these are some of the edge cases that, naturally there are some markets where it just doesn't make sense to run this playbook where the wholesale price is just quite low. We're very much focused like a market like Mexico where the prevailing wholesale rate, everything from all the data we've seen, is not too dissimilar from the US. It's a bit lower, but not too dissimilar. And so those are the markets that we're paying a lot of attention to that we feel are attractive. And so really just taking a similar discount to what is already in the US, like a lot of the data we've seen is like, anywhere from $2 to $3 per gigabyte. And then, obviously it's 50 cents. And I think that that spread in the rate is very compelling, and we want to have a similar percentage discount in other markets that we go to. And so that's really the intuition behind this proposal. And it goes hand in hand with the prior proposal.
Yeah, I did post the PR in the chat, so if anyone wants to go and read it, they can go ahead. There was a comment from Abai in the comment section as well, saying he hasn't merged this one yet. They're going to get working on that today, and you'll have a new channel today. Just a heads up.
Yep. This is also might take the opportunity to. I think there's a lot of really knowledgeable folks in the community. I really appreciate some of the discussions in the thread. If you have any insight on some markets on the wholesale rate, we'd love to connect with people. I think this is an exercise that we've by looking at different assets, just have had the opportunity to look at, kind of the wholesale rate, but it's very sparse and hard to get to. Like I've talked to like folks at JP Morgan, and obviously looking at some assets in Mexico and the UK, like it's kind of a bit hard to get to. So I'm just kind of putting it out there. If folks in the community have some insight, want to talk about this, happy to just hop on the phone or just talk. But also on the just thinking ahead if this passes, it will require just perhaps coming up with a structure of kind of like what's the price feed, what's the Oracle, like just really I'm just putting it out there, like which are the how do we create a basket of what that wholesale rate is, and that's something that it's a bit hard to like discuss now, but I'm just kind of thinking ahead if this were to pass and we go to a particular market like Mexico. We'd have to create like sort of bundles, say, hey, listen, this is a pricing from AT&T, Telmex, some other provider. We'll bundle it up and we say this is kind of if we were to not buy from Helium on the wholesale, like this is the pricing that we would get from the traditional market, and just agreeing on whatever that prevailing rate is, and obviously might change over time, but this is something that it's on our mind. Not necessarily sure how to codify that at the moment, but it's just something to be thinking about if this were to pass.
Just going back to your question about people reaching out to you, there is a question in the chat saying, is there a way to reach out to you guys to discuss the project further? What would be the best way to do that?
Yeah, we're monitoring Discord, but also my Telegram is exactly the same as my handle here. So it's at Santiago Roel. And on Telegram, there's a few scammers, impersonators, but it's really just this. So people can reach out. I'll also be monitoring the thread as here as well. And so both either Telegram or here, but I am more active and actively checking Telegram.
Okay. And by thread, you mean the HIP 142 channel?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. If people tag me, I'll be checking that kind of like daily just to make sure that I'm on top of it.
Perfect. I'm just going to put another little link there in the chat. Tag him in there. Perfect. Okay, great. Well, thank you for the update. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to the work that's coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. On the event side, I'll just mention I'm very actively also involved in I have this podcast with Blockworks. There is a conference in New York coming up in March called Digital Asset Summit. It's mostly skewed to institutions, but we'll be presenting there. If people want to meet up there, we might do a meetup for just immersion, and if folks in the community want to come, I think there's an opportunity to just get together there, or just go to the conference. It's a digital asset summit put together by Blockworks in New York, and that's in March 18th through the 20th. And I can DM you about it. But that's a good event if folks are in the area.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Actually, I was just going to say if you can pop it in the chat, but the
Yeah.
British guy has already beaten us to it. So.
There you go. I love it. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much, guys, for the opportunity to come up and discuss with the community.
Great. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, British guy. You are very quick. That's awesome. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking about Helium HIP 138 and 141. An update on that from Hashcode. I know Noah gave us a brief kind of update at the beginning here, but dig into it. Abai, go for it.
We are deploying right now.
End of conversation. Done.
End of conversation. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously kind of a big day for everybody in the community. But yeah, I'm going to be spending most of my day watching Solana and watching oracles. So yeah, it's going to be a fun day. Just a reminder for folks, there's a new version of the wallet app that is releasing or has just released this morning. That will be the app that will definitely work for claiming HNT starting the epoch that's ending today. So yeah, good stuff today. If things are weird or anything's going on, obviously we're going to be watching it, and then on to the next one after this one.
So a quick question on that. So the epoch ends at what time exactly?
UTC 0. So rewards hit usually within the hour after.
Gotcha. So I think for the conversion. That's around, for my time, I think 9 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Or 6 p.m. Pacific, I think. Cool. Okay. Just looking for chat to see if there's any questions about any of that as well, but I don't see anything just yet.
It's 4 Pacific, for what it's worth.
Well, the epic ends at 4 Pacific, and then I think the rewards run at
Alright.
1 a.m., right? Which would be
Yep.
5
right.
Pacific.
Yep, that's right.
Gotcha. Definitely wrong there. Okay. Good to know.
Good question in the chat about staked IoT and mobile. At the end of the epic, we're planning on hitting the release button. Effectively, what it means is that it is able for you are able to claim any locked IoT and mobile. So you still have to take an action. Right? It is not something that is just airdropping back into your wallet or anything like that.
Yeah, as for like what it's going to look like, your basically your lockup end time is going to basically be tonight at the end of the epic. So at UTC midnight, your positions will show as unlocking. So whereas before you might have seen the unlock time was like a year from now or something, basically all positions that were staked in constant got changed to cliff, and all of the end timestamps got changed to UTC midnight tonight.
Perfect. Yeah. Waveform just posted a little message there, fully decayed and then close position. So you just go into your app and do those steps.
I've not run that script yet, so your positions have not been changed yet, but sometime today they will.
Got it. Perfect. So sounds like everything's on track. That's awesome.
Yeah, everything looks good so far. Things are deploying. Obviously, if something comes up during the day, we'll communicate with the community. But we don't see any reason why that would be the case so far.
I do see a quick question there. Are Helium mobile mapping rewards also switching to HNT? Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. I think the Helium mobile team is waiting on App Store reviews here. I think that was mentioned earlier today, or earlier in the call. But I think they've been behind for several days.
Yeah,
Anything
it's been 5 days. I don't think I've ever seen an App Store review take that long.
I have.
The PTSD.
Yeah, my PTSD definitely triggered on this one. Anything not switching to HNT, Siegfried? Yes. Things like the stakes placed by mobile service providers like Helium Mobile. That's still, in code, is still in mobile. That is going to be part of our February release. I hope.
Yeah, depends what we want to tackle. But yeah, I mean things like paying mobile to onboard a hotspot, all those little things that you pay mobile or IoT for will eventually need to change.
Yep. So we're gonna that's gonna be part of our first HRP, right? It's gonna be prioritizing all the things that we need to migrate off of mobile and IoT.
It's going to be a busy few weeks for you.
Yes, the auditors are going to just be following me around with a mop.
and a bank and a wallet. Yeah, it turns out security audits are not cheap.
All right.
Good question in here about conversion rates. Now that we have a fixed date, you can start to figure this out. IoT is maybe the easier one to think about, since there's no more IoT being minted as of tonight and no more HNT going into the treasury. The treasury swap rate for IoT is now fixed. I didn't have a look at it yet, but I can probably look at it later. And then the other one that's interesting to think about here, mobile. Although there is no more mobile being minted, there is HNT going into the mobile treasury. So that will get to kind of an equilibrium point, and that equilibrium point will be on August 1st this year. So that's information for the community. Since we'll actually have real numbers, we'll probably be able to publish at least the treasury rates for these two things. Obviously, it's subject to people, I don't know, maybe mistakenly burning their IoT or mobile for some reason, and some of these things like burning mobile for hex boosting. Those are reasons why that treasury swap rate might change. But generally speaking, like it's now predictable. Yeah, waveform has the right screenshot for IoT there. That looks correct.
Cool. Just pausing there for a second to see if there's anything else in chat that comes up.
Yeah, somebody better at Excel than I am can probably make a plot of the mobile treasury rate over time. But I would expect if that 6,608 is correct on IoT, that'll stay the same because there's no more getting minted. Mobile's a little bit more complicated because it's a moving target.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions related to it. So if we have anything else to add before we move on. Going once, going twice. Moving on. All right. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the hard work. Okay, we're going to move on to the working groups. First up, we've got the IoT working group update from Joey. Take it away, Joey.
Yes. I think I'm also working on shipping some stuff. It's a busy day. IoT working group. I'll keep this relatively short this month. The IoT working group has really been putting their heads together on how to be most effective in driving, usage of this utility of the IoT network. So as a little bit of a recap, the Helium Foundation has entrusted the IoT working group with sort of authority over a portion of the IoT Ops Fund. And we are applying that effectively as, I gotta turn off notifications. This is too much. Okay, and we are applying this as grants. And I'm really excited to share on this past working group call, this past Monday, the IoT working group received a presentation from two of our first grantees. This is Starwatcher and Nick Hawks. Sorry, Matthew Patrick and Nick Hawks. Weird to mix IDs. Matthew is working on network security for identifying, misbehaving hotspots and managing the deny list. And so he's been working very hard on bringing pipelines over into this more open format. And the Helium Foundation, Nova Labs have been assisting him on this work in the sort of migration side of things. And then he's been putting a lot in to documentation and evolution of that platform. And then, and he just has finished his first milestone on that grant. So love to see it. And then Nick Hawks put together a fantastic guide that I encourage folks to go check out. And hopefully somebody can grab a link for me. I'm not in a position to do so, but he wrote a guide that showcases bringing devices onto the IoT network in a really unique way that I hadn't formerly considered, but it allows you to locally store all of your data, build your own dashboards in a sort of internal setting while using this global network of gateways. So yeah, that's the link. Thanks, Tyson Stack. It's designed to be incredibly user-friendly. So if you are not a particularly technical person, this is a thing where you could jump in, you'd learn a bunch of skills, and you'd get a sensor onboarded. And in this case, Nick did it in a way where he can put a sensor on a water tank that he's doing rainwater catchment with, and it creates a dashboard for his home. So it's pretty cool use case, and then one that's really easily manipulated and applied to other settings as well. As a final note, I just want to call out the IoT working group has also been formulating a roadmap of the things that we're going to sort of drive for in the coming year. That think I probably need to grab a link and share that. But it is a work in progress and ultimately will end up in the Helium docs as sort of a home so we can continue to reference that. So lots of good movement on growing things. I've been really happy with how engaged the entire group has been. So expect more updates from us soon. And I'll drop that link here just in a sec.
Awesome. Thanks, Joey. And just to note there that the IoT working group meets every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. You can join in and listen to that call through Discord. If you click the events button in Discord, it'll pop up there for you. Click the little icon and it will remind you. I think it's a bell icon, so you don't miss it. On that note, too, I know we've been discussing potentially moving the call away from Discord to maybe multiple platforms. So I think that's obviously a discussion for another time, but to make it more accessible to people in the community. Multi-streaming, I should say. Yeah, hashcode when Twitter Spaces for all calls, exactly. So obviously the goal is to reach out to as many people as possible and to get the information out there. Discord can be a bit siloed, so just something to note that we're looking into. Yeah, again, thank you for the update, Joey.
Yeah, am I on the agenda again? Let's see. I might escape and go back to.
I think you're safe, but I can always
Okay.
ping you later.
You know where to find me. All right. Thanks for having me on, and I'll jump off.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Next up, we've got an update from the mobile working group. Zero tweets, if you want to take that one, please.
Yep. Hello, everybody. So a lot of the things that are happening in the mobile working group are being discussed in individual subsections of this meeting, particularly HIP-related things. But I'll try to maybe mention a couple of things that are not. So first and foremost, I wanted to thank and congratulate everybody on us reaching yet another record in daily active users. We are over 400,000 daily active users. That means real people from various carriers, predominantly not Helium Mobile, actively connecting to Helium hotspots around the US and using it for data and paying for it. I think there's very few crypto projects out there that can claim 400,000 active normies actually interacting with the project. So again, wanted to thank everybody, all the members of the working group and all of the technical teams and obviously the deployers who are making this possible. One thing that we regularly discuss and update on in the mobile working group, but I don't think that percolates very broadly outside, is the ongoing pilot that we have with Telefonica in Mexico. So we continue to remain very enthusiastic about it. The plan is that we expect within the first half of February, we will have everything paperwork related as it pertains to the production rollout squared off. And for the next 6 to 12 months, we will be activating Telefonica users and deploying hotspot infrastructure around 315 specific locations designated by Telefonica. So this is still continuing. This is going to be really, the first meaningful big expansion for the project outside of the US. We are very enthusiastic about it, and so far, fingers crossed, it's continuing to progress forward, albeit a bit slower than we wanted, but nonetheless, moving along. Other things happening in mobile working group really pertain to the HIP discussions. I think you've gotten updates on the inversion capital as a service provider HIP. Tied to it, a bit more technical, is this proposal that Santiago mentioned, related to figuring out a scheme for us to have pricing that is not just 50 cents. So I think Santiago already explained it, but the proposal as it currently stands is that we have region-specific pricing, and we just have a fixed agreed upon rate of 25% of what the sort of wholesale average for the region is. So if you say, I don't know, in some country in South America, the wholesale rate is $1, then we'll automatically agree that it's going to be 25 cents. In US, it's closer to $2, so therefore it's 50 cents, et cetera, et cetera. I expect that there's going to be some more discussion and iterations on this particular PR, the topic of variable pricing, be it by geographies such as country or even more granular geographies, such as different locations within the US, is the topic we've been discussing for a while. But nonetheless, it looks like, given where the network is headed, expanding globally, we'll need to tackle it eventually one way or the other. So that's the core summary on the mobile working group updates. Should we move on to the next section?
Yeah,
Any
we'll
questions
pause there.
we should tackle?
Yeah, I'll just pause there for 1 second. I just wanted to mention that the mobile working group meets on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Again, you can find it in the events section. And I didn't mention before, but the calls are recorded. So if you miss them, you can always find them recorded in the Discord. I posted the links in the chat. So if you just go to the IoT working group channel or the mobile working group channel, click the pin, you'll see the list of recordings of all the calls. So don't worry if you miss them and you want to find out what's happening. It's always recorded every week. But yeah, moving forward, Boris, we've got a couple more subjects for you here. I guess we're going to move to HIPs past. So the first one would be Mobile HIP 139, phase out CBRS, if you want to take that one.
Yeah. So the gist of the HIP, I'm sure that everybody has heard about, is that we will be effectively shutting down the CBRS network. All of the parties that are affected, the deployers that have been actively operating the CBRS radios for, I believe, 3 months prior to the announcement coming out, will be entitled to receive Wi-Fi hotspots in certain proportion to the radios that they've been operating. So I think important updates on the progress of this. First of all, we started taking inbounds via an online form for a variety of reasons that proved to be complicated and inefficient. We've received about, I think, 1,200 or so requests for swapping their CBRS radios from different people that filled out the form. We've re-implemented the process a little bit. So the form that was there at helium.com/TradeUp is no longer available. It's been mutated into sort of an instructions page. And the way that the swap requests should be completed going forward is through the management dashboard from your gateway. So you have to log into your dashboard, and there you can submit the swap request, including selecting what kinds of radios do you want to receive for your swap. So do you want indoors, outdoors, some mix of those? Everybody who has submitted already through the web form prior to this change will be manually processed. So I don't think you need to resubmit through the dashboard, but on a going forward basis, log into the dashboard and do it that way. Some important timelines, just to remind everybody. The effective date when CBRS network will be shut off is March 1st. of this year. So that means that past March 1st, CBRS radios will effectively cease receiving any rewards. So we encourage everybody to complete the program and the swap before then. The onboarding support for the new CBRS radios effectively has ceased with passing of a HIP. So we do take kind of case-by-case exceptions. But generally speaking, if you're trying to onboard a new CBRS radio now and get it activated, and for whatever reason you're having a problem and you're writing to our support, don't be mad about us either not replying or replying slowly or saying that we can't answer that, as we're not actively supporting onboarding of the new radios. The IoT gateways, or the FreedomFi gateways, as we used to call them, those are still functional as IoT gateways, and the onboarding and the support will continue for those through January 1st of next year. So the entire of this year, you can use all of that gear as just basically an IoT hotspot. And the last topic that people I know commonly ask about is the SaaS fees. So there's a certain number of people that are operating the CBRS radios that have prepaid for the SaaS fees. So all of the prepaid SaaS fees will be refunded pro rata. So if, from the moment that your radio has been turned off and the, swapped Wi-Fi hotspot has been shipped your way, up until for the end of the prepayment period, we will refund those fees. The plan is that we'll do kind of like one big wave of refunds for everybody in February, instead of doing it like one by one. So we request that everybody be a little bit patient, but the refunds will happen. And the last question to tackle, I guess, on this topic is like, you submit the form, does your CBRS radio go offline immediately? No, it does not go offline immediately. The CBRS radio will only go offline after your replacement Wi-Fi hotspot have been shipped out. So I know there's a bit of a backlog. It takes us a bit of time to process the inbounds and then ship out the replacement Wi-Fi. Until your replacement Wi-Fi is shipped out, you effectively can still collect rewards for your CBRS radio. So that's where we are. If you haven't already, please fill out the form. March 1st is the deadline for us completely sunsetting CBRS.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm just going to read a comment from Mario as well in the chat. He says, if you are swapping outdoors, you will need to get inside the dashboard to select your options. Just a quick note there. And there was another question. I believe this applies to the FreedomFi units, about flashing them back to stock or to be a mini PC. Is that something that would be contact Helium support and they would do that for you? What's the option there?
Yes, I think so. I don't even know if you really need a Helium support to do it. Technically, I believe there is a path to do it by yourself. It's irreversible process. But
Got it.
if you're having difficulty, if you're not able to flash it, and flashing any piece of hardware requires some degree of technical acumen. But if you're having difficulties, then probably we'll be able to help you for support. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay, just a quick question on that. That's great. Okay, I think that's it for CBRS. We're going to move to the next topic, which is Mobile HIP 140. Adjust service provider boost qualifiers. If you want to take that one.
Yes. So HIP 140 is the latest relatively minor tweak to the proof of coverage rewards. To just remind everybody what it is, what basically, for the hotspots that are operating in the boosted locations, previously there were a couple of ways that you could sort of assert your location and collect the boosted rewards. One of which was doing the CDR verification, and the other is we would do away with the requirement for the location assertion if you had 25 unique connections from external service providers connect to your hotspot. So HIP 140 effectively eliminates the CDR verification path for the hotspots that are in the boosted location. The logic there is that we've only boosted the locations that have relatively heavy foot traffic. We have a large number of external users from larger service providers at this point connecting to hotspots. So if you're in the boosted location and for some weird reason you're not able to get 25 unique connections in 7 days, that means either you are gaming or there's something incorrect with your hotspot configuration. And the impetus for writing this HIP was actually us analyzing the data and seeing that at least several hundred, something to the tune of 300 hotspots that have been authorized to receive inbound traffic from large MNOs that are located in boosted hexes are actually collecting boosted rewards, but are not really getting almost at all any of the cellular connections inbounded. So HIP 140 basically does away with this. Like if you want to collect boosted POC rewards in the boosted location, the assumption is that you need to get at least 25 connections from the network users. Otherwise, you will just collect regular non-boosted rewards. I believe this HIP has actually been implemented and deployed already. I don't yet have like the stats of how many hotspots have gotten affected by it, frankly. But that's just something to keep in mind going forward. So if for some weird reason your hotspot stops receiving boosted POC, it may be because of the 140 implementation.
Just seeing a question in the chat there. Is this Mexico as well, or only US boosts?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to pause there for 1 second, see if any other questions come in regarding HIP 140. I did post a link to the HIP 140 channel, so if this call ends and you still have questions, pop them in there.
One thing I would like to add
one
to
other topic. Yeah. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Mario. Maybe we're thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so for US, this was deployed in US, is not deployed in Mexico, even though the HIP covers both. I just want to make sure that is the current status. I see Ryoba actually saying the same in the chat. I'll be quiet again and take it away, Boris.
Yeah, I wanted to just sort of carry this thought forward a little bit and state that we've had various discussions about how to handle Mexico in the context of Telefonica rollout. One of the options is to look at the actual number of real connections that people will be getting inside of the 300 or so locations, and adjust the number 25 to something else. Another is to boost the locations, maybe do a combination of those two. So I think that long story short is in the context of the Mexico rollout, we need to have a discussion with the mobile working group as to what the proper way to handle sort of the boosting situation there, such that on one hand, we don't open any gaming opportunities, and on the other hand, we ensure that the deployers that are doing good work there, deploying in correct locations, are adequately compensated. So this discussion is coming probably the first iteration of it tomorrow at the mobile working group.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So again, the mobile working group happening tomorrow. What was the timing again? 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So join in here, follow along. Again, it will be recorded. Yeah, that actually brings us to the end of the call, I believe. So if the speakers have anything else to add, please jump in and interrupt me. Otherwise, we have reached the end of our agenda today. Just a couple quick reminders that this call was recorded. It will be posted in the Foundation channel. I'll have it posted there and pinned so you can easily access it again. The next call is scheduled for, I believe, February 26th. You can, again, find that in the Discord events channel. Click there, click the Helium Community Call, and it will remind you. And when it pops up again on the 26th, you'll be reminded to join. And yeah, I believe that's it. So not seeing any other comments or questions or anything like that. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll see you next time and have a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening. All right. Thanks, everyone.